We are good in line.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's get our meeting started here. We're gonna call to order the September 23rd Select Board meeting at 6:30 here at the town office. We do have a quorum, so we will begin with the pledge of allegiance. Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, amendments to the agenda under, I'm gonna make a motion under new business item B to table that, because we need a public notice before that occurs, so we'll table that until next meeting. Do I have a second on the motion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Any opposition? Okay. Public comment, do we have any public comment? I don't think y'all are here for public comment, but you can have a seat for 3 minutes should you wish to. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes as submitted from September 9th? Oh, we have a motion from Deb, second from Josh, any discussion? All in favor, any opposition, seeing none, that passes. Just in time, all business, Durham Youth Baseball, come on up guys. Just your name, where you're from,
Name and address?
name and street, it's fine.
Michael Clark, President, Durham Youth Baseball, Old Brunswick Road.
Awesome.
Kyle Pouliot, 5100 Hill Road, Vice President, Durham Youth Baseball.
Awesome. Alrighty, yeah, tell us what we got here tonight. So,
Alright, so-
just to recap for folks at home, you all had mentioned wanting to get a batting cage, and we said, bring us some numbers and we can discuss and figure out where we're sitting at.
Yeah, so, I know that was a few months ago, we did reach out to a handful of companies, we only had a couple places respond to us, one was it Atlantic Fence, or Rustic Fence?
Ballistic fence, I think,
And then mainline fence. So yeah, Kyle put together a nice deck there, with some background information. So, we got from a Rustic Fence, a quote for essentially a chain link batting cage, 12 high by 14 wide and 60 long. I think of the dimensions, I don't know off memory here. 12 high, 14 wide, 60 feet long. For theirs, they would just do the perimeter, and a gate for that. They did not or would not provide any netting. They said that would be on us to basically source and install from the top, keep balls from flying out. I guess it's too tall to put a chain link topping on that. Mainline, in my conversations with them, seems to have quite a bit of experience in doing batting cages. They gave us a couple of options, one being a similar, same dimensions, chain link option, a couple of gates, entry and exit points on each end, as well as sourcing and installing the netting on the top. So it'd be all complete with them for that. So they were a little more expensive than the Arustic quote for kind of a similar chain link thing there. I think the netting alone is a few $1,000 for that, for the athletic type of netting, where they did it along with the installation. And then they offered us a cheaper option, which is kind of a embedded posts into the ground, permanent, cemented in with fencing, or not fencing, netting, around the sides and top. So that's a little more cost effective. I don't know, durability wise, they said that the netting should last, I think they said 7-8 years on that. And then, a few $1,000s to replace. I don't, one thing I haven't asked them is if that's something that would be required to kind of take down and put back up each year, to kind of bring it in from the winter weather. I would hope not. I would think we could just leave that netting out.
Yeah, I
But
feel like I've seen other batting cages where they do pull that netting
yeah.
down, so that is an added.
So, yeah, so those were the options that we got. Kyle has some illustrations in there, as well as some pictures of, what those potentially may look like. The
Mhm.
dimensions are the same for all of them. I think that full netting option, at mainline came in, 13,000 or so. They were over 20, I think, for the chain link, 23 grand for the chain link option, where Rustic was at 14,275 for theirs without the netting. Personally, I don't really wanna be, I don't want us to have to try to, install that stuff, as far as a board, as far as installing the netting. But, that's kind of where we're at, so, looking to get the board's opinion, and then, as a baseball board, with whatever you guys are willing to help us with, we'll go back as a board and decide which route we wanna go, and do we want to, put our own funds towards it, either do, whatever option we kind of decide, that's.
Yeah.
That's comfortable.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
do they give you an indication of how long the batting cages usually last for? Like the galvanized one, or the chain link fence one?
There wasn't we didn't get a shelf life on materials, if left out in the winter, over the winter months or just weather in general. No,
So, yeah, I would assume for the, I didn't ask about the fencing option as far as, shelf life for that, for the netting. They did say expected around 8 years on that before replacement. The fencing, I would think that could last a long time.
Yeah.
Decades probably, if it's just taken care of properly.
Is the intent that it would be accessible for kids all the time? Or it's
Absolutely,
not-
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's
so
open all the
just
time, it's
like-
not just for the baseball?
Yeah, just like the field, during the baseball season, of course, the league would have priority over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like the baseball field, it wouldn't be locked up. So if people wanna go in and use it, then, they'd be welcome to do it, it is on town public property, so. Unless the town had issues with that, we have no intentions of keeping it locked up from people that wanna use it, if that was a request of the board, we could certainly do that, but.
if there was any vandalism or anything like that, we would have another conversation potentially about locking it up. Not that, it's an issue, with the field, but since we fenced it in, there hasn't really been any. Before, the field was fenced in completely, we had recreational vehicles go around the field and kind of destroy some stuff, so.
Yeah.
We don't, anticipate that, but you never know.
So what I'm saying here is a rustic fence company can essentially build something that looks similar to your mainline structure one with no roof on it. How critical is that roof?
Really critical, I would say, otherwise there's no balls flying out the top.
Kids have a lot of pop-ups.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking it as an option in the right now we have no batting cage with no roof and picking up some pop-ups outside of it. It's better than no batting cage, if we had to go that option, would you agree?
I think we'd prefer to have the netting for that reason,
Mhm.
but that's not to say if this is the direction we do decide to go, that the board couldn't, the YB board couldn't source a netting, that's probably our preferred option.
Right.
You said it was like a couple $1,000s for the netting? Or to throw on top?
Yeah, so I've asked, that was what Mainline told us, a few grand for the netting and install for the top.
Yeah, cause I like the chain link size more.
Yeah. Yeah.
A rustic is significantly cheaper than mainline for the chain link. And so I lean towards the chain link just for the structure there. But, as long as the top netting is 10 grand or less, it's cheaper than using mainline for the whole
Yeah.
kit and caboodle.
Right.
But that top netting price is, to be determined, right? Does anyone else have any questions for me now?
That top line is chain link on that structure.
Yeah, so the top line has chain link and does the top line chain link on the ceiling too?
For the mainline option, it would be netting on the ceilings, so I think that picture is kind of just illustration purposes only, kind of, we source that, that's not something that mainline,
Yeah,
so that's just kind of give you guys an idea as to what we'd be looking at, but yeah, it would be athletic, netting, that's kind of specific for.
yeah, I've seen the mannequins, yeah. Did any indication on how close you could run that along the right field fence line?
No, I mean, I think we do have the space for it,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Yeah, so it would be, behind, we were thinking, behind the right field fence in front of the parking lot. I mean, we do have an entry point gate there where, the town goes in and out to mow the field, so we need to make sure
Yeah.
that they still have space to get in and out of there, but yeah, I
And
mean,
would
we can
you-
get it as tight as
Would you be wanting to run it parallel to that right field or
I would say probably.
perpendicular?
I think if we did it perpendicular, it would cut out
That's-
some room for parking.
That's my thought. So the reason I'm asking these questions is town's going through this, as you all are aware,
Yeah.
this whole town visioning thing.
Right.
That timeline is gonna be years long, but I don't wanna be in a scenario where something we put in now has to be moved. And so if this is something that can run parallel along the right field line,
Yeah, it's
and set in there. Maybe we
Right.
can put in some green boards and make a little mini green monster on the back of the right field there. and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, so there is a picture in the deck as to, how we were envisioning where we're locating it.
That's how, okay, that's a good point. Any other questions for them all so far? So to me, this seems like it's addressing a need about being able to increase the use, cause it sounds like that's a big constraint right now is getting time, and at least at this point, there could be people doing batting practice while a different team is working in the field, and it can
Right.
kind of increase our use of that area, which is a goal of the board is to build more, public use in the downtown thing, so I think it's really a good idea.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we spoke last time about the number of teams and kids that we have, between having to hold home games during the week and weekends, trying to get practice time for the kids, it's tough to try to squeeze in 2 practices, with after school or, before daylight ends.
Mhm.
So if we could run 2 teams over there on the one fielding, one hitting, and then, kind of switch them out, that would certainly help us, logistically that way.
So for me, I don't see us being able to do mainline option 1 if we were to cover the full expense at 23,410. We have a little over 21,000 available for all recreational balance in our recreational balance right now for the town. If we had to cover all that, this would have to be budgeted for a later date. I think we could have a discussion about looking at your less expensive options or providing some matching funds towards whatever funds you all may have available to put it there, so wanted to know what your all's thoughts were.
So, has anybody talked to the insurance company or lawyer about liability for the town?
I operate under the assumption it would be the same as a baseball field.
Yeah, I don't know why I wouldn't, I mean, and again,
Well, 'cause
we
you're
do
giving them a
have,
structure to climb on, right, that's 12 feet high. Right, and how many kids are out there climbing the fences now?
Hmm.
And at night, during the day?
Hopefully.
It's, right, it's a whole nother structure, and I think, that's a concern that I have, if they say, put these signs up, don't climb, something like that, well, that, I think in my mind, there's still more work to be done before we start talking about it, because to me, there's a significant liability for the town.
Jerry, are you aware of our liability policy, how it covers things as of now?
Well, on the tort claims, the town's fairly protected, I mean, they could climb on the backstop. I can certainly call the insurance company just
Is at least that high.
to verify.
Yeah, cause
The town would have to be negligent big time to be.
Yeah, I mean, would it be, is there a claim that would be made by somebody, for somebody's stupidity of climbing the fence, you know what I mean?
How many times have you been in court and watched what's been filed,
Yeah,
right? Everybody thought the McDonald's and the hot coffee was stupid,
right,
right? That was successful. That's my point is, I think we need to do our due diligence.
Any other questions? Are you asking us for the full cost for these, or are you
No,
also-
so I know when we came a few months ago, we had asked for 10.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we are more than appreciative of anything that the town will give us, and if you guys say we'll provide 10 towards the cost of this, and we as a board decide we wanna come up with extra funds to do, one of these other options, then that's what we'll do. But yeah, I mean, it is a big expense, it would be, something permanent that would be there for the town for hopefully years and years to come for the league going forward.
It addresses a big issue too.
It does,
And so I'm inclined for us to consider funding at least towards one of the hard chain link ones. That's my personal opinion. The exact amount, I guess, would be, determined based off what you all are to bring. I think that for me, $10,000 seems reasonable. I don't have the same concern you have, Josh, about the liability, but I think that doing our due diligence isn't a bad idea either, so we could just double check on that. I hate to bring you all back again, but we do have to make sure we're dotting all our i's.
Yeah, no, I
have to come back.
I get it 100%, and it took us a little while to get this info together, I mean, we're hoping to try to get it installed this fall, if we could, to be ready to go for the spring. Both of the places said they have the ability to do that
Yeah.
for us. But yeah, I mean, if you guys need us to put signs on it that say, stay off the fence, don't climb, that's easy for us to do, it's not a problem, I'll get some signs made up and attach it, it's probably a smart thing to do regardless, so.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm getting at with the price point for me is, I would like to see us end up with a galvanized chain link fence version as opposed to a net version.
I don't disagree with that.
And so I would like to make sure that if we're, as a town, voting to, or as a board voting to provide funds, that it's going towards that, not towards, cause if we, not that I don't trust the group, but it's like, if we say, hey, here's $10,000 for this, and then you decide, oh, we'd rather just go with the rope or the netting one, I'd be a little disappointed, so I would be more of saying that we'd be contingent on providing up to a certain amount for the rustic fence company, or up to up to a certain amount for the mainline fence
As long
company.
as it's towards the chain link option.
Yeah, cause I do think that, it could just be a really nice piece that we could add over there and increase the ability to do some work,
Now, do you guys have money in your budget as well that maybe could cover the remaining of the cost?
We do have some funds we can put towards it for sure, I mean, we've been pretty successful the last couple of years with some decent fundraising efforts and having the field, and then selling advertising signage and things like that.
and this is some more real estate for advertising signage.
It's true, yeah, I didn't think about that.
All I'm saying is I picture it, it's the right field, not the left field, but it could be a big, like I said, kinda like a big
Yeah.
green monster. Put some signs up there and,
I like how you're
maybe
thinking.
something, could be a little Durham flair on the field, it's neat,
Right.
Right,
Right.
you could do some sort of fundraising where, how people bought the bricks for the school, maybe
Yeah.
buy a plaque or something for around put your name on it, $250 or something.
So you,
Go ahead.
so you guys also included the infield maintenance here.
Yeah, so that's another thing, so we have, again, out of our own funds over the last couple of years, put quite a bit of money into the field with the other fencing and stuff that's there. We did have the infield, kind of dug out and resurfaced last year. We tried to have some people donate time and do it that aren't, necessarily, don't work on sports fields particularly, but, help the league. In hindsight, maybe we should have just paid, for somebody that focuses on that. But I don't know if you guys have been over there, it's kind of all weeded, it's grown in. So Sportsfield Inc., actually, Kyle, I don't know if you wanna speak to this, cause you're the one that actually talked with them.
Yeah, so Sportsfield Inc. is out of Monmouth, they specialize in, rehabbing fields and making sure that maintenance is kept up on the infield. They would, essentially, when the field was built, the base pass and the home plate was built crooked. So it's not like an actual, it doesn't have the correct dimensions as a little league field would. They would come and they would align the field correctly. They would cut the infield edges as well as take care of some of the weeding on there. And they would provide some topsoil, for drainage and things like that, and just address the field and make it look really nice, like an actual ball field as opposed to, I was just over there on Saturday and it's like a forest over there, despite all the rain we haven't had. Yeah, it grows very quickly and these guys would come in, they would align the bases, they would cut the infield, they would provide that top level dressing, and that would help things like drainage and just an overall better playing experience for the kids.
So are you looking for additional funds, or is that something that is coming out of what you guys have?
It could, you know,
Yeah, so I think we just put that in there, you're really more for your information to say, hey, these are the things that we have, kind of on the agenda that we wanna get done this fall, or before next season. So any money that the town is willing to provide would be, put towards these two projects, and whatever we need to come up with, in addition, then we would discuss that on the board and fill in the gaps there.
So, just to do, let's say, a rustic fence company, 14,000 plus this infield work, what you all have available, what do you need from us to do those two things? Would you have to go back to the board and have that discussion, or?
I mean, again, I think if you guys are willing to provide the 10 or, even if, you said 12, then, we'd definitely be able to work with that.
Yeah, because I know traditionally it's been 2,500 that we've done, right?
Yeah.
The last few years, and so this would essentially, like we had said, if the request for more comes in, we have to see why. Now, like I just said, for me, like, I don't feel as comfortable about just voting to say, hey, here's a blanket 10, do what you need to do, like we have with the 25, that's fine.
Yeah.
But with this, I'd like to say, we are, as a select board, voting to approve money to go towards the batting cage,
Yeah.
go towards that infield work. And so, I think, Josh, what we should, like you said, check up on liability. At this point, I'm comfortable contingent on hearing from that liability, policy on approving at least $10,000 to go towards this. It's a vote we could take next meeting, but I would like to give these folks a bit of an idea of where we sit before you all go home, so we want to bring you back.
Yeah, I think if we have a commitment, a general commitment, we can then go and line up the work. And, if it's a matter of you guys wanna wait until you see that there's an actual chain link structure going in before you cut the check, then, that's fine. I would assume we're not gonna have to make a payment to these people until.
So you're saying that it could work as like a reimbursable payment from us, or you're thinking that they could start the work without, you have what they need to start the work?
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably need a deposit,
Yeah.
or, to start, but it won't be all due upfront. So.
Yeah.
In terms of the infield maintenance, do you foresee that as a yearly thing? I mean, you were saying that the bases weren't to scale, so that obviously is gonna be taken care of.
Right,
But on a
right.
yearly basis, are you gonna need that 3,000?
So no, part of the perk of that, and I don't think that was included in the original quote, was that they would be able to maintain it once in the middle of the season as well. Depending on field conditions, after it gets run all over and things, we'd probably just take another look at it, but I don't anticipate having to pay that every season.
Yeah, so I think, as far as, you're right, once the bases are remeasured and set, those are permanent or semi-permanent, they'll be there, not moved. But yeah, as far as field maintenance, there would be some maintenance done each year, but that, if the town is willing to continue to support at the level going forward outside of this bigger project, then that would certainly help us towards that, but, we have, again, we do raise funds to, do some of the stuff or like other things that we've already done, so we understand there's cost ongoing, so.
And I think with that initial aspect, it's just getting the right company to do it right the first time as it's set up and not have someone who's not as experienced as a guy who sets up sports fields is probably.
Yeah, you gotta fix it, and then it's easier to maintain it after it's correctly done.
What other requests do we get that are tapping into this recreation fund?
Well, the recreation fund's new in the sense that we combined, some prior accounts to create that work. No. We don't really get any other requests out of it.
Snowmobile.
The snowmobile club and baseball are the only two requests we get out of it.
And how many kids are in the league, Durham kids?
So we had this year 105 this year, so we had 6 T-ball teams, 2 8U teams,
Very full team.
2 U10 teams, and 1 one U12 team this year, so, that's been pretty stable last couple of years, I would expect that to continue.
Is it, and that's co-ed?
Yep.
I think you all are like the biggest, single community program.
Well, I mean,
In the town
and it's
now, yeah.
investing in the kid, the
Yeah,
future of the kids,
I mean, you
and
bring up
sports
a,
and
I
teams
think
and
I know
all
where
of
you're
that.
going, you bring up a good point that I would be, I'm not putting words in my mouth, but I would actually even be inclined to go higher than $10,000 for something like this, just based off what those expenditures have been in the past.
So can we slow down for a second? And I know I'm like the downer tonight, but we're not putting money into this account every year.
Yes, we are.
How much did we put in this past year?
2,500.
No, I think
No,
it's
in the recreation
No.
account.
Yeah,
No, there's no revenue
Right.
in the recreation account. We took out $2,500.
Okay, sorry, yeah, to give.
So this is essentially a new funding mandate we're gonna do if we're gonna continue to give them the 2,500, or we're gonna run out of money in a couple of years. And so I think we need to keep in mind that we've got a lot of changes coming, and taxes are gonna be, people are complaining about the 9-month taxes they're paying and not understanding how it works. But in 2 years, we're gonna have new tax bills, and they're gonna look different for pretty much everybody. And so that's about the time you're gonna be looking at, we need to start funding this account again. So I think we need to keep that in mind. And I agree, it's a good idea, but I think even good ideas need to come with some type of realistic plan for the future. And we're talking about putting more money in. And for 105 kids, out of how many at the school? Again, I support it, but I think we need to start watching how much money we spend, and we're just throwing money at all these different things.
So I would push back on that because we're in that discussion phase now. They came and made a presentation, we asked them to bring that information so we could examine that, and that's where I think we are now. This money's already been budgeted for them, so we can disperse it at $2,500 a year for the next 10 years, or we could disperse a larger amount now for
But it's not just for
purchase. It's not just for them, but it's where we make a decision for where the best expenditure for recreational funds are, seeing as the only place we've expended recreational funds for the last half a decade has been the baseball club and the snowmobile club. Rather than having them come in and ask for $2,500 a year, I think that this is a good opportunity for us to do an investment downtown at a larger amount that has a benefit for our kids. So I feel like we're at that stage right now. Anything we vote on this year for you all would not be come back next year and ask for the same amount. Every year budget is a budget, we have to make adjustments. Some years we're gonna have to pull up the waistband a little tighter than others.
Yeah, and I will say, I don't think that as a board, we have any intention of coming back with another request this big. Certainly not in the near term, and there's been years in the past, I think maybe with a different board, that the 2,500 wasn't even provided. We've not been given that. Every year we've asked for it, which helps the league, but there have been times where the town has not paid that out for one reason or another, so.
What I like
so
about
we
your
appreciate it.
proposal that you brought here is that this increases the ability to use the space.
Right.
And so you can go from one team being there and waiting for the other team to leave to 2 teams being there, one team in the batting cage, one team there. And so that's for me why this elevates to something that we wanna consider more so than an annual contribution for operation and stuff like that, so.
Or maybe too, you could say, this near-term funding with the note that it is unlikely that we'll be providing $2,500 over the next 5 years. You could do something like that, so it's
Yeah, that's
like you're
good.
just pulling it earlier.
Yeah, and we as a board understand, the most we can do is ask, and the worst you guys can tell us is no.
Yeah.
And we
I
get
mean-
that, so,
To Deb's point, would the board rather see a $15,000 contribution now and nothing for a handful of years so you can get this, or would they rather see a $2,500 contribution annually for the next, foreseeable future? None of which being guaranteed.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
So. Do we have any other questions for these folks? I would like to earmark $15,000 for, to go towards a batting cage for them, personally. I don't share the same concern about the, liability insurance, cause we already have a taller than 12-foot fence as part of the baseball field, so I'm operating on the assumption that it would fall under the same insurance policy. But if people aren't comfortable voting on that tonight, I at least wanna make my position known, and we can do some due diligence and come back to it. So are folks not comfortable voting tonight?
I think 15,000 really depletes the account though.
There still will be a little under 10,000 left in it.
It'd be $6,242.
There's $21,242, so $6,000, yeah. And I just look at the annual expenditures out of it the last few years, and it's been baseball and snowmobile club, and I don't even know if snowmobile club is asked every year. And so I understand that, but we save our recreation fund for recreation expenditures, so that's just my position. Is there a counter position? And it's okay if there is, yeah,
I feel more comfortable with 10,
okay.
seeing how the budget is right now,
Mhm.
and what we have to look forward to.
So I will say, expending out of this does not impact the future budget because this is already allocated for. And so it's not like we have to then re-budget for it, we don't have to budget for any recreation funds annually. This is what's left in our recreation balance right now, just waiting for people to come request it. I would feel a little bit differently if we had 6 different clubs that were coming to request money from us every single year. We just haven't had that, it's been 2.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think we're the only youth sports recreation, activity left that isn't run through the RSU or through Freeport, so. What that's worth.
Mhm.
That's what-
What are your thoughts about what were we giving you, like $2,500 a year?
Yeah.
Pretty much consistently.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been allocated to a bunch of different, you know, whether that's operating stuff, uniforms, pads, jerseys, equipment that needs to be updated every season, the maintenance for the fields, where we can get it,
This
yeah,
kinda
it's
sounds
been
like it's
super
just
helpful.
been going towards general
Yeah,
expenditures, yeah.
And do you already have an aggressive approach to pulling more kids in? I mean, with your advertisements and everything right now, is it, we're doing the best we can on getting more kids involved?
Absolutely, yeah, I feel like our younger side, T-ball has never been bigger, I mean,
Yeah.
T-ball,
We
it's
had
the
a really
most,
engaged T-ball group this year, which, bodes well for future.
yeah,
Yeah, we get flyers out the school first of the year, to Durham. We have not reached out, historically, Freeport has their own league. I know you guys probably maybe see signs around town from Tri-Town Little League up here in the beginning of the year to try to get our kids to sign up down there. We haven't gotten into that, we can take Freeport kids, but we don't advertise down there. Maybe we can, but we've tried to just keep it to local Durham kids, Durham families. Keep things local here.
It's good to hear that there's more participation. I mean, part of it is, I imagine as the participation increases, you have to be concerned about the space too. And I recall that's kind of what prompted this discussion.
Right, exactly. I'd love to come ask you for $400,000 for a new playing complex on the baseball field, but
Yeah, a dome maybe or something like that, so. Cool. Do we have any more questions for these folks? So let's hear back from the insurance policy and then put this on an agenda for next meeting to finalize what amount we are interested in putting towards this.
They don't have to come for that.
You're more than welcome to, you don't feel like you have to.
We
Yeah.
just added to the
Jerry, if you wanna send me an email, the results.
Yeah,
It will be on
absolutely.
the, it will be on
You
the
can watch us
agenda.
on YouTube.
That's right.
Either I.
And our whatever we have for motion, if there's anything contingent, like this is explicitly for a batting cage, not just for general funds, we'll make sure that's clearly delineated in the motion.
Yes.
And if it's for a deliverable like this, we may say that the payout happens after the construction starts
Yeah.
or something like that, just so we see that
That's
there,
fair.
so.
Is this something where it would be a permanent structure over there? Are we going to need to get a permit for that?
I'd have to ask
about
her,
that.
I'm guessing.
That's another good question to ask too, yeah.
Yeah.
George, you don't know off the top of your head, do you?
I don't do
Are there any other funding sources available? Like, are there
As far as funding,
grants or anything like that, or?
oh, you went to the sports grant. I'm not sure if we would provide funds for something like that.
For like state.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised at what that stuff is.
So,
I'm just
yeah,
wondering,
I mean,
Cause
the-
right now, we're basically committing taxpayer funds, right, using
Yeah.
this budget when,
Yeah, but I mean, those funds were
I know they're
budgeted
budgeted
for
for that,
recreation, you know?
We're a nonprofit too, I mean, we try to raise funds, we produce fundraising opportunities all year, all
Yeah, okay,
season,
yeah.
so it really good with the snack shack, raffle tickets we support local businesses through the calendar raffle that we have every season. I mean, we do winter clinics that go towards those funds as well. Yeah, we provide a lot of fundraising opportunities to try and grow.
Yeah. Having deals been a big part, so I
Yeah.
know that that's really helped the league in raising funds, so. Let's see it continue.
Well, thanks for.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll pick this up next week once we have those questions answered.
Okay, yeah, and if you need anything else from us, just Jerry's got my contact info, so.
Yeah, and if in the meantime, if you do get a firmer quote on what that netting would cost at the top, that could just be more information for us.
Okay.
And could we just date this and include it, add it to the meeting information that's online? I don't think this was,
Yeah, it was on there.
oh, it was on there, it wasn't in the package stuff?
It was in the packet, yep. Awesome, thank you.
Alright, guys, appreciate the time, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the due diligence here, we appreciate that. Alrighty, we're gonna move into new business here, we need a motion to move into the Board of Assessors. Deb, motions to move into the Board of Assessors, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Rebecca? Any questions? Alright, all in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none, that's unanimous. We have an abatement for a property to, for 2 homestead exemptions that were found in error. We've attached the necessary paperwork here for our signature. Map 8 lot 16 for an abatement of $444.94. And map 4 lot 42 for $444.94 as well. Any questions about this abatement? Alright, I do have a motion to approve the homestead exemption abatement as presented.
A motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Alright, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none? Alright, we have moved the GA maximums to we tabled it to next meeting, but do I have a motion to exit the Board of Assessors?
So moved.
Deb, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Rebecca? Alright, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none? Alright, we're back into new business. Alright, we have here our discussion on economic development, so one of the topics we had was establishing an economic development committee. Mr. Thabarge, happy to have you here. I know everyone watching at home knows you, but we'll say that we have George Thabarge, our town planner, here with us tonight. So, as you can see here, we've got some information here from GP Cog to help guide this sort of downtown envisioning. Can you kind of go over it a little bit with us? You or Jerry?
Well, you wanna introduce?
Yeah, so George and I have talked about this, so as part of one of your goals for economic development is, it's definitely a worthy goal, definitely worthy of talking about. We have, or George has, applied for 2 different grants, one for $75,000 and one for $20,000 through GP Cog. GP Cog is actually the one applying for the grants to look at this, and it's looking at alternative energy and agriculture and how we might be able to mix the two. If we get those 2 grants, we wouldn't need the GIST proposal because it would be embedded and with the GPCOG staff. Okay, so if we don't get those grants, which we don't know yet, to help move the economic development process along, because it's important, we're gonna need some professional staff to help us. And kind of run that committee. It's just George doesn't have the time to run the economic development committee, and you really need to get somebody that knows Durham, gets to know Durham, because it's complicated here, like other towns where they have water and sewer, it's a little bit more viable, but we're here, we just need some help. And how we form that committee, would really need to get some folks on that committee that maybe are chairs of other committees, like the planning board chair and the conservation commission chair, and possibly George and I could maybe sit on that committee as well, because it is important.
I think you bring up a good point when we talk about economic development, because like you were saying, we don't have town sewer, we don't have town water, so when you start dealing with commercial or light commercial, that's a challenge, and I think you brought that up a couple times before, George. Not only considering our proximity to the highway and, trucks and stuff like that, like that's just, this requires some expertise.
Yes, and the timing of it's pretty good too, because we're gonna be facing, having to redo our comp plan. So the work that we do out in front of that, like this work right here, will help feed that comp plan as well, so. I don't know if George has, he's a lot more.
Yeah, I would just go back to this framework that I presented to you back in July. It kind of shows how all of these major initiatives that are going right now, the open space plan, the agriculture committees up and running and trying to do some stuff. You get the housing, the latest housing mandate that's coming in. We do have these grant opportunities that GPCOG brought to our attention, one through the state and one through the federal. And the first grant is that we applied for was the energy one, alternative energy, which we kind of look at the framework. We've had this battery energy storage proposal, major facility. We've looked at the optimum locations for solar farms. We've adopted regulations for both of those things, so we're pretty well poised. And through that whole process, we kind of looked at that whole area down where the battery energy storage system was proposed along the power line. That whole area has a lot of economic development going on right now. With gravel pits, there's some wood processing companies down there already. We've got the KOA campground. And the other good thing about it is there's relatively limited residential development, because when you start looking at economic development, that's always a concern. That people who live in the area are going to be concerned that it's going to alter their way of life. And obviously you need to balance out those issues and be sensitive to that. But the other thing that this area, in addition to the power line, the existing economic development uses, it also has a sand and gravel aquifer. And we don't know the potential of that, but I know that one in Lisbon, they've got one there that does their whole bit in town, plus some commercial development over there as well. And you need ideally, to do robust economic development programs, you need water and sewer to do the type of development, density, and the special industrial processes. You don't have any of that. But what you do have is you have power lines, 2 major corridors, and you've got an aquifer that you could generate a semi-public water supply to meet the needs of whether it's agriculture with irrigation, obviously that was the issue this summer, even for the existing ones, or something more like along the Springworks lettuce, that type, which would generate more tax revenues than just field agriculture. So those are all things that will be looked at. And what's I think hopefully going to help the town score well on the grant application is trying to integrate the natural resource-based industry potential with the energy, which that pushes a lot of buttons at Augusta in terms of funding. So that the first grant would be to look at specifically the energy aspects, and then the second part would be to look at the more comprehensive economic development district. So I have done economic development in other communities, fairly big projects and several in Falmouth I could explain to you. Nothing of that scale would be doable here with the limitations, but at the same time, we've discovered over the last few years with all these initiatives we've been working on. There are some real opportunities here, if you tap into what is workable. And unfortunately, many communities try to go for something that just isn't realistic. You know, wouldn't it be great if we could do a shopping here in town? Wouldn't it be great if we had coffee shops? All of these things that you have in more traditional downtowns, it's very hard to do from many different aspects, including marketing, to get capital investment for those types of developments. But here, you have these opportunities already in the works, and a lot of the background work that's already been done to set the stage for pursuing it fairly quickly. And I guess that's another issue. Many communities want to, you know, do a townwide analysis, and then we begin to, you know, have lots of public participation. You know, the town can do that, but recognize that before anything starts generating tax revenues, you've got to go through the planning process and the review process, planning board reviews. So before something actually gets built, it could be a year or two out in the future. The longer you take to get that ball rolling, the slower it's gonna be to have those tax revenues coming in.
I mean, what I like about what you're saying here is that one thing we're hearing all the time from residents is we need more economic development to help address tax burden. But at the same time, we wanna keep a rural community, and we don't want to make ourselves, I mean, no, not disparaging any local communities, but I hear people say, we don't wanna be like Freeport, we don't wanna be like Brunswick. And I think what you're bringing up is that a lot of the economic development is kind of like saying, hey, here's your neighboring downtown, copy paste over here, let's make it work, you know? And I don't think that that's what the community's asking from us. And so what you've described to me seems like a really novel approach that is saying, what resources does Durham have, what does Durham want? We have the gravel pits, which is, you know, arid land that can be used for other things. We have the access to the grid very quickly. We have a potential semi-public water supply. I think it's really great to start pursuing stuff like this. And to me, this is all like cookie cutter things too, in the sense that the deliverable from this can be copy and pasted as a section of a future comprehensive plan, which is 2028 timeline for us. I like it. I think it's important for us to get professional assistance on this, just because you need to have a staff person really carrying this committee from step to step in my mind, and we just don't have that capacity right now, so I think pursuing grant opportunities to do that will be really important, and I think really it's kind of critical and necessary for us to develop an economic development committee, is to have some of that professional support. What do other folks think?
Through a grant, I hope.
Yeah,
Is that a federal grant?
One is federal, that's the energy one. The other one is state through the same funding program that's doing the open space plan.
I think we're hitting the correct buzzwords on this application for that state funding, you know. Especially when it's looking at, you know, gravel extraction is kind of the final, some people call it the final harvest from your landscape, because you're limited after, so that'd be interesting.
Well, we saw the value of having an expert facilitator when we were dealing with this piece over here, not only
Yeah.
just getting this residents involved, but the presentation of the results and really driving home, I mean,
Yeah,
let's face it, we're not all experts in every area. This is an area that if you're serious about it, it pays to have a consultant come in and
yeah,
lead the charge.
I could see
With
us,
you, co-lead the charge.
yeah, I could see if we didn't have someone and we just propped up an economic development committee without professional support, I see that committee spinning wheels for years.
No, nothing we can
And what I like too with, and I'm a little partial to GP cog right now, is that they've now done a lot of stuff in the town, and I think that their staff that they assign here really have a good understanding of the culture of our town, the goals and desires of our town. You know, and so I think that gives us an opportunity to just keep building upon those successes and build upon that trust that the community started to develop with that vendor. So I'm really interested in this. What do you need from us today?
We just wanted to give you an update and understand if the two grants come to fruition, then the consultant is kind of embedded in that.
Mm-hmm.
If not, then we're gonna have to go this route and we'll have to fund it in the next budget. So just
What is the timing for the grant, like when do they expect to?
They didn't really tell us, so I'm not exactly sure.
You've already submitted an application.
It's all been, GP Cog is the applicant.
Oh, I see.
And we are partnering with them, so that kind of puts the onus on them to, and they're very good at this, this is what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's beneficial.
Fingers crossed, cause I really I think this could be a really novel approach to economic development for a rural community. It could be really impactful and very unique. And if we do anything in Durham, we like to reinvent the wheel and build our own wheel, and I think that this would be our chance to do that, you know. And so this is exciting to me.
But it's all about raising the tax base to minimize the burden off the residents. We have to do something.
Yeah.
We also have to make sure people know that that's why we're doing it, so if we don't get the funding, we need to be very upfront in saying with this money that's being put towards it, it's because we are lessening, at the long picture, big picture, we will be lessening the tax burden.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I'm seeing the money, so if we don't get the grants, that's gonna cause a problem.
Well, that would be voted on.
Oh, yes.
yeah, we'd have the budget
And
separately
we realize
for it.
that just a one-year contract or whatever with this 20 grand fee, or 25,000 grand fee, it doesn't the outcome is not, 4 businesses sign the line and we're up and running. It's really just preparing the town to be able to accept new businesses quickly and get things off the run, the little line that's supporting the new businesses coming in and getting that revenue in here and moving.
Yeah, I think what right now, every business, anybody who wants to come develop a business in town, it's kind of a, tell us what you think and let's figure out how it would work, whereas economic development, like what you're talking about, could be like, we've created an opportunity to do X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C in a streamlined process in this area.
But it could also be an couldn't some of the activity under this be an outreach to a certain type of business and then say, hey,
That's a big part of it, because you
Yeah.
have to recognize economic development is a very competitive area. And you get communities, obviously, like Freeport, Scarborough, they're going for industry, and they're very competitive. But even within the agricultural, industrial process, you're gonna have to be competitive to get those. And that's why putting together this plan is gonna put you in a position to compete with other communities that may be offering tax incentives to businesses to get them to build.
I mean, perfect example is we know that there are other communities around us who were approached by battery energy storage and have moved along much faster than anything. We've kind of just been waiting. Other communities are moving forward on that because they had a system in place to allow certain options better, And so if in this market, if people are saying, well, I can go here and get a benefit, or I can go here and get nothing, the benefit is the tipping point there, especially when we're looking at where we physically are in terms of access to other things and our amenities. So I think you're right, this could be how does Durham invite business? How does Durham invite the type of business that Durham is interested in? Working with those, wherever this development area is, working with landowners to say, we're not trying to put an economic open for business sign on your property and have someone come in and try to bully you around, you're in this area, how are you feeling about these sorts of developments? Is this something that you can help engage with? So I think there's just a lot of things we don't know how to do, and this is a good way to address it.
George, are you finding, or I don't know if you know the answer to this with GP Cog, with solar companies or energy looking to expand with the current situation in government with funding running out and tariffs, are things slowing down? Are we kind of,
Well, according to Julia Kaplinger, who's on the planning board, and she actually works in the solar industry, what she said was that obviously the prior federal administration was putting in a lot of money into alternative energy, and the current administration is kind of moving in away from that.
Mhm.
However, they're just part of the whole funding cycle. The company that we were working with that was interested for the battery energy storage system is an international energy company with windmills around the North Sea. So there's a whole global energy industry and capital investment system that has made the federal funding part of their. So what she explained was that what's happening is they're not abandoning the projects, they're just having to because all their financing is based on those types of, mixes. And now they're just having to reformulate it, so it's delaying it. The other thing to recognize is the current state administration is really aggressively pursuing alternative energy. So the grants that, one of the biggest grant we're going for is through one of those programs for alternative energy. So currently, the situation in Maine is very positive for this. Of course, that could change in the future as well.
And I do think that this gives us that unique opportunity to say, well, we can't necessarily control what sort of incentives are at the tiers of government above us, but we can say, here's some opportunities here in town. And like my understanding with following the energy industry too is there's certain projects that are marginal without support from certain programs. There's certain projects that they're perfect and they're not gonna need those support, and that's where those energy companies are kind of saying, all right, where does it go here? Where I look at a town like Durham is a lot of times with energy infrastructure, the transmission line from the generation to the distribution is an expense. And we have 2 transmission corridors going through town that can be easily plugged right in, so that in itself kind of turns on a green light. We have a lot of phase 3 power in town, that in itself turns on a green light. Those are the sorts of things that I think we can adjust here,
I get that, I'm curious, I was just curious, but
Yeah.
in terms of, are we, so thank you. Good to know.
Well, this looks really good. I'm excited to hear back on the grant status. Cause I don't really think we can do economic development without a professional service. So I think in terms of how we move forward on this goal right now, it's wait to hear on this grant. If we don't get it, come up with a plan to pursue funding for a professionally facilitated service. What are your all thoughts?
Can I just also explain that, so they're really, the opportunities immediately in terms of the funding, getting the resources plugged into the economic development program is, the first is these grants, which if you get that, we're off and running. And you need to form an economic development committee to be kind of the liaison for the conduct of those studies. But if the funding for those grants or one or more is not coming through, then you have that alternative backup of putting something into the next budget. But in the interim, you will recall that Christina Egan mentioned that they are getting some economic development funding. And I think she mentioned that it would be 10,000 available. So in the interim, we can still get the ball, the program.
Like build the committee
running.
and at least get
Yeah.
people connected.
And we can begin to, some of the agricultural committee members have connections up in Augusta in the Department of Agriculture and Economic Development. We can still begin to do some stuff while we're waiting to see if these grants come through.
You mean because we have this $10,000 that may be
Christina
enable
Egan
us to,
indicated in an email to Jerry before we applied for these grants.
which would basically
If they were
pay
waiting,
staff
we were-
time?
One staff, they would provide
Yeah.
a staff person.
Oh, they would provide a staff person
Yeah,
to
so
help
they're
with it.
getting a
Okay.
grant to
Yeah.
produce some economic.
Because that's where I was gonna go, I mean, if we have economic development as a goal, which we do, like, we can't just wait until we get the development plan up and running through the grants or get a vote for this expenditure here. We need to decide what is it that we want to get done, with what we have right now and get moving on.
Yeah,
So
and
that was-
I've
that's a
kind of
good
put
point.
together a plan and presented it to you, so we're just gonna keep moving that forward and keeping you in the loop of what we're doing. And then, make sure you're in sync with where we're heading. If you want us to shift direction, we're certainly always willing to do that.
Well, should we put the reach out to create a committee?
I think it's premature at this
Yeah,
point.
now I was thinking the same thing, like do we start now, but like then I thought about it a little bit more today as I was coming over, I feel like we wanna like, for some, the level, the volunteer we could get, yeah. And if we form it now, there's not, you know, you're losing that momentum if we're still waiting a little bit.
And what it's gonna do is without some outside consultants or other assistants, it'll peel me away from other stuff that I'm already doing. And it make me less effective in every round. That's part of the problem.
We haven't figured out how to duplicate George yet, so.
Is it something though that you and Jerry should be putting together, sort of, this is what the committee should look like, this is bylaw, that sort of thing, so that when it's time, we can just jump right in?
And we can certainly work with GP cog on that, so.
Right.
Well, seeing that you don't need anything else from us, I think this is a fantastic update, I'm really excited to see how this moves forward and keeping our fingers crossed for those grants, cause I think it would be a game changer for our community, for sure. Any other questions for George?
I would just say, George, your attention to detail on all this stuff and, you know, your report was very detailed too this time around. As always, just want to say how much we appreciate that.
Yes.
You're good at
Not
what
my
you
first
do.
rodeo.
No. You certainly are a subject matter expert.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks, George.
Thank you. Okay.
Alrighty, our next item here is going paperless, so Jerry. You know, one thing Jerry and I had kind of discussed just in passing was we get a lot of stuff printed out to us, we have all of our previous agendas and things like that. And we have our new system here, like I have it open on my phone right now. I have the agenda, I have links for all of the documents we need. And we have reliable internet, and I wanted to have a discussion here, just about how we feel about moving to try to be more of a paperless board, through the issuance of board member electronic devices, probably like a tablet or something like that, so we can just get that and work off of that with our agendas, with our budgeting work, all that sort of stuff. Looking at a lot of other municipalities, issued devices are not uncommon. There's also the ability to then have us be more working on an issued device for all town business, so in the event of a FOA request, everything is right there on an issued device. And then upon completion of someone's term, the device could be issued back to the municipality, so it's not issued to that person, but issued to that role. And so I just wanted to have that discussion here, I kind of mentioned it to Jerry. Jerry, did you have anything pulled up for
No, we did
information?
Devin did a quick, research. We could probably get you something, like an Apple tablet, 5 of them for all 5 of you. And a place to charge them, which is in a box where they put all their, get that used on. And you'd be under $2,500.
Total?
Yeah,
2,500 for
Yeah.
5?
yeah.
Apple?
Interesting.
Would all of
Yeah,
the, like the Microsoft
Yep,
be separate or included?
well, I didn't ask
Oh.
Devin that.
Yeah, that's the only thing when you say Apple, it makes me wonder about the Microsoft suite of
Yeah, I asked Devin the same thing, so it's not a problem.
But I mean, okay, but, I mean, isn't it as simple as we all have the data on our phones through the notes that we get through the email? I mean, is another option to just have someone here that has a laptop and we're projecting to, and have our phone and we're looking at things on the overhead?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an option, but like when we're sitting here going through something in the packet, right now it's printed off, we might all be reading at a different pace or at a different spot. And my thought would be to just, remove the amount of printing that we're doing now and just have those issued devices, so when we sit down, we just pull out our device, we have what we need there, and then we're doing more work on those issued devices and reducing the amount of paper that we're printing off. And then, especially if Jerry has to make adjustments to information and he's linking it in the agenda, we just have it right there. Cause I think we keep, every now and then get to a whole like, oh, this wasn't printed off, could we get that printed off next time? Or, oh, I don't have this, I need to pull out my computer, pull out a personal device, and
My only concern with that is any sort of damage done, insurance that would have to be paid towards it and what ramifications.
We pay per page printing, right? Is that what we said before, right?
We pay for
The copier.
the copier, but we don't pay any overages, no. I can negotiate that in the contract. Right, so,
We're just paying
So
staff time and paper.
yeah, in paper, and we're printing these off and then we're just recycling them after we get done. That's really what it amounts to.
So is it more economical or environmentally friendly to have paper and printing or a tablet?
Right, and that's for you to decide.
Yeah, yeah, and the reason I brought the idea up is that, it's just kind of a standard practice, we're seeing more and more municipalities, more and more organizations move towards issued devices, and then they can just use those for all of the business needs, all of the work needs, and then it removes the need to print. So, and my thought process was just to get a rough idea of the estimated cost, and then we have that discussion, like, is it worth it? $2,500, 5 devices, no longer needing to do the printing that we're doing. I'm obviously in favor of it, but want to know what other people's thoughts were.
I mean, saving $50+ an hour for someone standing there twice a month to print stuff.
Yeah, but it's more than that, I mean, that's part, yeah, okay.
I get it, but my point is that alone is what, 24, so you're talking, I can't even do the math in my head, but you're talking over $1,000 just in time. If you're at $50 an hour for everybody printing twice a month, that's over $1,000, so in 2 years you pay off the tablets.
Mhm.
That doesn't include the ink, the toner, the paper.
Right,
And you pay for the recycling. I mean, I hate us all sitting in front of a tablet and looking at that and not looking at people. And I hate it at work, I like having the paper in front of me. But from a financial standpoint, it just makes a lot of sense, because I think within a couple of years, 2-3 years, you start saving money in the long run. And
I think you bring up a good point just about staff time too, because not only is there that dollar expense, there's the opportunity cost of, if this reduces, staff member time by a couple hours to prep for this meeting, that's just something that buys someone some time to do, something a little bit more top of license, something more important. And one thing we've talked a lot about here is and Jerry has done an amazing job, is finding efficiencies in that office, finding ways to do things with less money, finding ways to do things in a faster time frame. This just seems like a natural progression to me, if it just saves time, because I mean, when I look at what we have right here, besides the stuff we have to sign, everything you have here is already linked within the agenda, so when you're done making that, you're ready for the meeting. There's no, hey, Jessica, can you go print this off? Oh, shoot, this printed the wrong side, go print it again. I just think that even from the lack of paper, just the time component is a huge savings there. I mean, how much time do you think it takes you to prep for one of these meetings versus just in the printing side of things? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, probably 25 to 30 minutes, depending on the size of the meeting, and if, like you said, like something gets shuffled in, like tonight, I was afraid something got shuffled into the baseball, so I went through each packet, made sure there was all the right pages, and
Yeah.
Yeah, save
not to mention, like, we're thinking, like, going into budget season, like, I think we do a lot of spreadsheet printing, and we could just reference
Yeah.
that, and
another perk too is to be tied to your emails, so emails that get sent to you, docs that get sent to you, things you'll be able to look them right up, so if I send you the latest budget, or I send you something and I didn't bring that
like
today,
tonight, yeah,
but
you have to run back,
boom, you
yeah.
can just look it right up
Yeah.
and boom, there it is.
Yeah, I know we can do that right now on our personal phones, but for me, and I agree with you, Josh, when people are sitting there on devices, it's like while I was talking to the baseball committee, I was pulling up something on my device that was related to them. That feels more like, oh, I'm distracted, whereas if it's like, it's a tablet in front of us and I'm talking to them and we're looking at this thing, that feels a little bit more interpersonal to me, so, just my thoughts on it.
Is the intent for us to take them home, leave them here?
Leave them here. And it's pretty cool, there's this box where you put them in,
Kind of like the microphone.
yeah, and it actually charges them.
Yeah.
Then you pull them
Kinda like
out.
school, yeah.
Yeah, it's going at the computer cart.
Is a package buy that he looked up, like you buy the whole package then?
Well, you would buy each tablet on its own,
Yeah,
then
okay.
you buy the charging thing separate.
And so then
just
we,
keep them here?
Yeah, just leave them right in that closet and when,
which is locked.
and then
Lock
it's just like we do right now, we'll set up for you, we'll bring them out. You come in, you just log in as we'll set you up, you'll log right in and you'll be up and running.
It's just an electronic notebook.
Right, basically,
Yeah.
exactly,
Okay,
so.
I'm fine.
Can you bring
And what's
us a,
that, where is the money gonna come out of this
I think,
admin?
well, you got we don't have it in the operating budget, it might be something that we have to fund in the next budget. I mean,
would this be able to fall under telecommunication?
you don't have any,
Oh, sorry.
I got moved to the buildings,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I mean, I guess my thought process here was if we think it's a good idea, if you could take a look at to see if there's anywhere in the existing budget we could fit it, if not, something to budget for a future meeting.
right, I would probably look more towards the end of the year to see what we had, and then at that point, we just find it in the next budget.
Yeah. Okay,
I like the idea, sounds like we're going to the next level.
yeah, I know. Well, I think that's indicative of Jerry's time on the board, is just elevating our Jerry's time in his role is elevating us as board members, year after year. We'll have our Wi-Fi enabled glasses at some point, and we'll just be able to run through it all right there, you know? Cool. Deb, I put this, you brought it up a couple times, the new business E. You had mentioned a couple meetings ago, talking about a name tag for the select board.
Yes.
And so I wanted to put that on for discussion here. I was thinking about what you were saying about, there's plenty of times I go to something and not identified as a select board member. And after you brought that up, I thought about, I've been to a bunch of this GP cog stuff. And there's a lot of other people who are representing their town that have, some of them even have like a polo shirt and it says like town manager or in their name or something like that. But I wanted to know, did you wanna talk a little bit about cause you had mentioned the name tag during your last board
I
meeting report.
actually, in the office, and gave Jess an example of one that I have from the New York Times Museum, it's very simple.
Mhm.
In fact, we could probably make them ourselves, I don't know, but just a magnetized.
Mhm.
But it's not just about the name tag, it's getting a way to identify ourselves and then maybe, I know I need to do it, just be more visible to community events. We had a couple this weekend that I couldn't make either of them, and it would be nice to be able to go and say, hey, I'm a select board member and
Yeah,
give me a full. So I don't know if you had a chance to take a look or.
Yeah, we found a couple of different kits that we can get,
Oh,
so we could reproduce them. So we weren't just buying buy 5 and then, next year buy 2 more.
Right.
So, or we could just, we could print your name and then slide it in, there's like
Yeah.
a metal option and there's like a plastic option, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, Avery, the
Oh,
company that
Avery,
does-
yeah.
so
You
we-
could have the Durham emblem or
Yeah, oh,
something
yeah,
too,
yeah,
or your
yeah.
title, yeah. So we're on a path to get there,
Yeah, I
for
think-
relatively reasonable prices, I'm
Oh,
sure.
yeah, definitely.
Cheap.
yeah, I think it's a great idea and I just figured we should acknowledge it here, and so if it's something we're gonna ask Jerry to do and through the staff, that we kinda have that officially come from us. Does everyone else like the idea there of pursuing the name tags? No
Sure.
worries.
I'll go along with it.
Alright. Well, that works for me, if that works for you all. Hey, we can give you a name tag, you don't have to wear it if you don't want to.
That's exactly what was going through my mind.
Alright,
I'm not saying wear it every day, I don't think, but, if you happen to go to open house at the fire station, why not?
perfect. Alrighty, next up for business, discussion regarding cash in lieu of health insurance. So, we talked about, identifying this in our, employee handbook. We were talking a little bit about, Jerry, do you have anything to add about this?
No, you all got that spreadsheet that
Yeah.
other towns do and.
Yeah, and
it's
so
really a decision that you folks need to.
Yeah, I wanted to open the, I gotta pull up the spreadsheet here, but I wanted to open that up to, oh man, it'd be nice to have a tablet right now to do this, but okay. I wanted to open that up to discussion to members of the board to see where you all sit on that. Let me find the email, sorry. It was sent on
It's the last
eight
meeting, wasn't it?
25. Let me see here, 8:25, yeah.
September 9th.
Wait, you're saying September 9th.
Yeah, because it was sent during the meeting.
Oh, yes, and from Rebecca, you sent it.
Yeah, it was, I can tell you. Wait. Yeah, 8:25. Benefits on this.
So which one was it? What time, when was it?
8:25, it was with the gray wage study.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. That's the benefits analysis. So essentially what we're talking about here is right now, when we have a employee, when we, this is not big enough for me to see very well.
Here.
Right now, when somebody has a job here, we budget for a fully encumbered staff person, so that includes a budgeting for the expenditure associated with a full family insurance. A full family insurance plan. And there, in some communities and some businesses, if you choose to not take the full insurance, you just take the single insurance, or you take no insurance at all. They give you a proportion of the budgeted insurance amount as in cash in lieu of that benefit, to say, hey, you know, if Deb's a fully encumbered employee with full family insurance, she in theory is getting more of a benefit than Joe, who might be doing the same exact job and not taking insurance, because I'm not getting that added benefit of the insurance because I may not need it. And so different communities have handled it differently, and made a recommendation of a percentage of the single insurance amount. So if it's $1,200 to do, to provide $1,200 out of pocket for the town for the single insurance, they may say you get all of that in lieu of benefit, you get a partial amount of that in lieu of benefit. And so where we're at is we just need to make a recommendation, because we talked about this in the employee handbook that was drafted. Do you recall what the HR consultant's recommendation was?
50%,
50% of the single
right?
insured rate, and do you recall what that number was for single insured?
Yeah, it's more like, it's right up there around 17, I think.
So total 1,700,
At 17,000,
well 17,000 for the single insurer.
yeah.
And what is our current
It'll be
policy?
half of that.
Yeah. What's our current
Maybe 1,200.
1,200. So right now we're at 1,200. 17,000, 50% of that would be, you know, 650 or 7. Yeah, 6. Wow, I'm having a brain fart right now. 8,500 would be 50% of that. So that's a big difference between what we have right now, and that this would have a budget implication
Yeah,
for us, a very major one. So I think that we need to have a discussion here around where we think that would be, because that recommendation of the 50% is would be very high. And so we would have to change our budget next year to accommodate that, and I don't think we couldn't absorb that right now if we made that change
Oh, no,
currently.
the budget, anything that really impacts the budget won't go into effect until the next budget. So, can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess what I would recommend is that we take a look at this in like a workshop type
Yeah.
thing and go over different scenarios so you know what that impact is.
And that's what I was hoping to do tonight, is that we could come up with some questions that we need answered, so we can dive in this a little bit more. And so, what I would like to see is what, the fiscal impact would be if we switched over to, 50%, 40%, 30%, 20%, 10% of that. That's what I would like to see.
Okay.
Because I do think that we start thinking about, like, we have vacancies in public works, we start thinking about how to become more competitive, we start thinking about employee retention. When we budget for a position, if it comes in and the person doesn't need that family insurance, we save a lot of money there, but they may be looking at a position at another municipality where they're offering them 30% of that insurance cost. So those are the pieces of information that I would like to get for a further workshop. Does anyone else have any other pieces of information they would like to get? I think we already have this data sheet that shows what other states, other municipalities are doing, which I think, we know from our MMA guidance that it's always good to at least consider surrounding municipalities when you're trying to develop a policy like this. We have a recommendation from the HR consultant. Do we want at a workshop to have her in the meeting so we can discuss this more so with her, or do you think that this is something we should just make a decision on and then propose and put forward to the handbook?
I don't know if we need her.
Okay, I don't know if we do or not, I just wanted to check with folks.
I'd also like to see like past trends, like let's say if we had been doing this for the last 4 years, how many employees would have been taking advantage of it? And if we gave them 50% of the rate, like what type of impact is it fiscally? Because what we're trying to do, I think, here is come up with strategies that keep retention, if we can, help with retention, and maybe make more like decision when people are deciding whether to work in Durham or work elsewhere. This could be a factor in that decision to slide them towards working here in Durham.
'Cause-
But I don't know how big of an impact is it, is 2 people, is it 7 people, is it half the staff, 3/4? Because there's a lot of companies that don't do this.
Yeah,
If your husband and wife work at the same company, one gets insurance, the other doesn't. Nobody's handed this guy over here, $6,000 a year because his,
yeah, but on the public sector, for example, if 2 people both work for the state of Maine.
I'm just saying this both ways.
And that's what I'm saying, there's like all these different, and I'm not saying that as a criticism, I'm saying there's all these different iterations, and I think what we're just saying right now is, we hired this HR consultant, we're making some changes. How do we think about this holistically? So I think your trend question is important. The other thing too is I saw Jess put up 4 hands as people who don't currently take the insurance. The other question is, you make a change in a policy like this, does that make people reconsider when it comes time for the annual enrollment, to reconsider their choices to say, hey, if we are now at 50%, the economics work out now that it is better for me to hop on my spouse's insurance, or because I can now do the math and it works out more. So we can't necessarily just say, oh, this would only be an impact on 4
Right.
employees. It could end up at that,
Reversing.
it could end up people saying, oh, my spouse's insurance has changed and stuff like that. So I think it would be important for us, Jerry, to look at the expense if every employee was taking, when we look at this. So when you come to us for this workshop, what I would like to have is that 50-30, 50-40-30, 20-10%, and numbers on what it would have for a budget impact if all of a sudden everyone changed. And so we can kind of start running some numbers to see what that looked like, because I think you do have to think about that.
which could be a benefit.
Could be a benefit, because
Exactly.
if your employer came forward right now and said, hey, if you got rid of your insurance, we're gonna give you an extra $8,000, it might be like, well, it's only $2,000 more to hop on my spouse's,
Right.
that's more money in my pocket, and I think that those are serious things to consider, because we wanna offer good benefits, but at the same time, we still have a fiscal responsibility. And maybe that 1,200 is just bumped up to a set figure of 2,000, I don't know, but I think that these are the pieces of information that I need to have this discussion a little bit more.
It seems like a lot of work for an issue that I don't think really impacts employee retention. I think time is better spent with the wage table. What I've seen is, I used to give, here's what we pay each month for me to be added to my wife's insurance, and I got reimbursed for that. It's, to me, there are better ways to address the issue of employee hiring and retention that are gonna be more attractive to people, because my guess is, for the most part, the insurance from the town is gonna be better than most private employers. And so I think we need to get to the root of the issue and then figure out where to put the money, if that's what the plan is.
And I think this is a big retention thing, I think it's an and, not an or situation, because we have this employee handbook, there is a recommendation. And so we need to come up with some sort of approval, or say, remove that altogether. We do have vacancies, we do struggle to fill vacancies, we do have turnover, we do have people, who are feeling external pressures at other competing municipalities, like, I think we need to have all options on the table. I do think it's a valuable expenditure of our time and resources to go through this personally. And so I would like to still keep it on as a future workshop with additional information. Do you have
I
anything else,
agree,
Rebecca?
yeah, I think every little bit helps, so, I don't think it's the end all be all of what will retain, but I do think that it's icing on the cake that helps.
I mean, I think it's a
It
big,
doesn't hurt.
I think that if a policy were to come out and say 50%, which is what is being considered now, and all of a sudden your compensation goes up $8,000, when you start and I'm not saying we would vote on it, I think that has a major
Yeah.
impact on people's interest in a position. When we look at what our current wage tables are at, that's, in many cases, more than a 10% increase right there.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's an important consideration. So Jerry, do you think you can pull all that, do you have
Yeah, I'll
clearly understand what we're asking for
Yeah, I'll get you
information here?
some data and I'll talk with you and we can put it on an agenda
Yeah.
sometime,
And this, go ahead.
and just, we'll work it out, so be prepared to all have it and.
If we're gonna spend time on this, though, can we talk about more than just the one issue and talk about the root of the issue and how to address it?
Sure.
What's
And that's
the issue?
Well, I don't know, that's the question, is we're talking about one issue, and I'm willing to bet the people who are leaving are not leaving over,
$8,000?
Yeah.
I would disagree with that.
We can discuss it and, yeah.
I think it's important to get,
I'm making a request, and we don't have to do what I've asked, so.
I think the root of the issue is just getting more money to pay everybody.
And I think we need to address how to address it, and one issue in my opinion, is not enough, there are other ways to do it, and we should look at what the best way to do that is, and that's the point I'm trying to make.
So, but because this is in the employee handbook,
In the draft employee handbook, it's not our employee handbook at this
but
point.
we do need to approve an employee handbook.
Yeah.
What?
It's our handbook to put together, and I wanna make sure we're putting in there everything that we need to do for our employees. And just because this is in the draft given to us, doesn't mean that's what we have to do. And so there are other ways to do it, and what I'm asking is if we're going to have this substantive conversation, if we can include everything and not just one issue.
I don't think we're saying we
You
can't.
mean like everything or more things associated to employee retention and hiring, you mean? Draws.
We're talking about one issue and one possible solution, but there have to be others. And I would like to discuss all of them and figure out what those are and which one is best for us.
Yeah, I don't.
Is it just saying, hey, instead of doing this, we're gonna give everybody $1 or $2 more an hour? What is it? We don't know,
So
and so
we-
that is what I would like to explore.
Josh, we have been doing this, I mean, we talked about the personal schedule, we talked about the holiday schedule. So we're going through, we hired the consultant to make recommendations, and now we're going through their recommendations and saying, how does this fit through the town of Durham? So we are taking a
Just-
total approach.
Then don't look into it, it was my request, don't do it, I don't, at this point, if it's that big of a deal.
Well, I'm saying if there's additional things you want us to look into, we can just figure out what they are.
And that's what I'm asking to do, we
Let's
have a
not
human
raise our
resource,
voice.
we have a human
Josh.
resource person. And I'm asking her, if this is one issue that she's raised, what are the other ones?
They're in the employee handbook, and that's what we're trying to work through.
Then,
And if there's other issues she's raised in there that you want us to work through, just, we can highlight those. I just picked this one
and
because
all of
that's
the
the one.
issues she's identified are in the employee handbook, there are no other ones that we could address?
We can ask her.
We can ask her, certainly, but we have,
That's
so
all
the
I'm
reason I put this on the agenda is because we had a discussion about this a couple meetings ago when we sat down with her. These are issues that everyone on the board raised as something they wanted to address. And so I'm putting it on the agenda so we can address them as they come up. And so I don't feel feel that it's my role to skip over your all's recommendations for these considerations. So this is one thing that we noted as an important discussion point, and so I'm just saying, let's continue down that path. If there's other things that are important, I think that would be great, and if we wanna send her another email and just ask her, is there anything else you think should be addressed for retention that's not included in the employee handbook, that's fine too.
I'm in favor of asking her the question.
Absolutely,
See what else maybe comes to the table.
but in the interim, I do still wanna get that information for proceeding with a discussion, which is not we're not setting a policy, we're just discussing the cash in lieu of health insurance. So do you understand exactly what we're looking for, Jerry, is that clear as
Yeah,
day
it'll be
for
a
you?
work in progress, like I said, I'll put something together and I'll show you. If you want tweaks to it, then we'll tweak it and
Yeah.
as long as we talk about this prior to really getting into the budget season.
Well, and that's part of the reason why I want us to.
So we got some time, but we'll wanna put it on, you know, we wanna have this resolved by December.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking that this would be something we put on to workshop in November, and maybe whatever we hear back from the HR consultant on topics between now and then, we could pursue more so. Yeah, cause
Yeah.
again, these were the things we peeled out that are recommendations in the current employee handbook that had a fiscal note, whereas things like the personal base didn't have a fiscal note. So, alright, anything else on that topic that folks have questions about? Alright, manager report, Jerry.
Oh, it's me, I'm up, alright, well, thank you. So we're still down to Public Works despite raising the truck driver, snowplow labor to 24 an hour, we're still not getting any hits.
When was that raised?
3 weeks ago.
What was the raise amount? What was it, how much an hour?
Well, it was different, cause the two that left had two different rates, so the vacant ones, the vacant positions went from like 21.73 to 24. Which meant the two people that were there that were making the 21.73 had to be bumped up to like 26 because they've got 6 and 9 years of service in. So, but we have it in the budget because we've been down 2 people for most of the summer. But we're still not getting really anybody applying. And it's not just Durham, so don't think it's a Durham problem, this is a problem across a lot of different public works. It's just when you're a mid-sized town with a small town staff and you're down 2, that's a lot, like, you know, Lisbon's down 2, you know, they've got enough employees to make it out there, it's not
Well,
so big a concern, but it's.
CDL particularly adds an additional challenge because you're competing against the private enterprise that has a lot more capital behind supporting positions that require a CDL. And then due to state law versus federal law regarding things like cannabis and stuff like that, that has another impact on the pool of applicants for jobs that require CDLs, so.
So the 24 an hour is right in line with starting pay for municipalities in the city, even Lisbon, Freeport, all of them, it's starting, all their CDLs, if they're just new, that's right around where it is, so we're not too low,
Mhm.
and we're not way above, and so we're right where we need to be, it's just, there's just not a lot of CDL drivers out there and people getting their CDL. The good news is Calvin went to a meeting or conference or something, and they're now starting to make trucks, plow trucks, where you don't need a CDL. So in the future, that'll be good, but right now, a lot of towns are struggling, so it's not just, so we're doing the best we can.
So sorry, go ahead, Deb.
Is there an option to have the rec be part-time hours? Right now it's a 40-hour a week rec, right? But maybe we could draw in people if it was maybe part-time, maybe you get some
We do have-
retirees.
We do have some part-times and we've got some on-calls.
Okay, even on these two recs, gotcha.
Yeah, they come in, cause if it's a long duration storm, you gotta call somebody in
Right,
to kind of switch, so we have that, but yeah, it's an issue across the state. So we're paving Auburn Palmer Road right now, so that's happening. Got rained out a little bit today, it's gonna be a 2-day project, but it might stretch into 3 because of the weather. So tomorrow, in this room right here, from 11 to 2, we're having training. So we're gonna just close for 2 hours, and we're gonna have lunch for the employees, and the fire chief is gonna do fire extinguisher training and that AED training for us, so. You're more than welcome to stop by if you're in the area, we're gonna have some sandwiches and,
What kind of sandwiches?
they're just
Okay,
cold cuts, they're just cold cut sandwiches.
I always have to, I need to know the lunch before I decide to commit to it, you know. It was a hot
but the
lunch,
training,
maybe.
is it the lunch first and then the training, or
Yeah.
both, like if we come, we might be, or.
No, yeah, I mean, the fire extinguisher training will be outside anyway, so it's just to kind of, we call it employee recognition, although we don't really have any pins or anything, we probably should start to do that, because we've got some 5, 10 here.
Yeah.
New stuff, but I haven't fed it into the budget, so, but we should, maybe I'll do it this time.
I think that's a
But
really,
we do that every year, we usually, we do it at Public Works and cook up burgers and dogs for a little special, but they wanted to switch it up this year, so we'll just do it like cold cut sandwiches and chips
Wait, which one was that at?
from 11 to 1.
and if it's here, people can go see the UTV, which was
Yeah.
delivered,
Oh,
fire departments.
You can
UTV,
get a ride
which was
in it.
delivered, yeah. Chief says it's very fast.
So the Maine Municipal Association Conference this year is on October 8th, and I'd like to send the staff. They didn't go last year,
The whole staff?
yeah, all 3 of them. So we'll have to close the office that day, it's on a Wednesday, so they can go to that.
Where is it at?
It's in Bangor, and I'll drive them
Yeah.
up.
That was in Augusta, did you, I
They
was
They
actually,
switched
Yeah,
back.
you
it was in Augusta a couple of years
Yeah.
ago, when I remember you all went to it that
Yeah.
day.
But this is a good opportunity for them to meet colleagues of their same job and go, and there is training in those too, they can go to sessions during the conference.
Well, and even the booths, I know, for example, a lot of clerks will go up to the IFNW booth and ask about the Moses system or those sorts of changes and get answers about that sort of stuff, so.
Alright,
That's all part of your employee retention too,
Right.
the opportunity to do those kind of things.
Was that in the newsletter on Friday? Just making people aware.
I don't, I think we just put it in the agenda for the first time
Okay,
about the conference. That's
but it
what
will be.
yeah, we can put it, yeah.
We try not to get ahead of like.
I know, but
Right.
that should be a warning.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
oh, and it'll be a text message too.
Danger, Will Robinson.
So Northeast Wildlife Services will end up taking care of the remediation of the bats either next week or the week after. We got some other quotes that were less, but the job was a lot less too. They didn't wanna do the thorough job that this person wanted to do, so. And then one was a lot more because they wanted to rip down the labs and stuff like that, we didn't wanna get into that either, so we're pretty comfortable with that, what they're gonna do. Alright, the last one, remember the IRS deal where they were gonna fine us, well, they got back in touch with me. And so now, they said that they want to fine us $25,230. So I called them out on the phone. And I was on the phone from 10 minutes of 1 and they listening to music and they finally picked up at 4:10. Got a lady on the line and explained, I said, look, you know, we're a town, I mean, these are tax dollars, I mean, we sent a nice little letter to you explaining the situation, we had access to it in town. Folks did the best they could, it didn't get done, but you now have them, quick turnaround, now we have payroll services. And so then she says, oh, okay, and then she transferred me to another guy, wasn't as pleasant. And I explained it to him, and he says, oh, you need to fill out a 843 form. So I filled out the 843, gave him the same package, just basically turned it around in the same day. So I'm hoping, and it's an abatement or refund of a penalty or addition to tax to reasonable cause. And I think there is a reasonable cause here, so I'm fighting, and we'll see what becomes of this, so that's the update that I can give you on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We appreciate your
We'll see, I'm
due
hoping,
diligence on this, Jerry.
hoping, can't promise you anything, but we turned it right around like I said, in the same day.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry to report that, but, it is what it is, so hopefully, let's keep our fingers crossed and, we didn't know about the 843 before, so now we do. And I think the IRS does like their forms, so maybe this will help, so.
Perfect.
And that's all I got for you this week.
Alright, thanks Sherry. Board member reports, I don't have anything spectacular to add. Josh, do you have anything?
Nope.
Deb?
No.
Rebecca?
Nothing.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Josh, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Alright, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none. Upcoming meetings, planning board is meeting October 1st, 2025. Ag committee's meeting October 21st at the Eureka Center at 7 p.m. Town office is going to be closed October 8th to allow staff to attend the Municipal Association's convention for training. Town offices will be closed on Monday, October 13th for the holiday. The next select board meeting is going to be October 14th at the fire station at 6:30. And the next select board meeting, we're gonna be discussing.
Just, the solid waste committee meeting minutes have some notes about their next meeting, should probably be in this list too. It's not the first Monday in October, but I think they're the
It's the second and that's Columbus Day, so do you know if they're gonna,
I don't know the exact date that it's in the meeting minutes that I think are posted.
Okay.
You can check.
I
just
did, I
saying,
looked, I
you wanna
did
make
look
sure
at it
it's in
tonight,
there.
yeah, I did look at
Okay.
it tonight and I checked and the second Monday was the holiday. So I didn't know if they were just not gonna meet in October or if
Okay.
it's for November. I'll check the minutes then.
Just get that.
Next meeting, October 14th, we're gonna be discussing the budget process, so please come with any ideas on how we think we can better address that process. It's crazy to think we're already thinking about budget again. On October 28th, the Conservation Commission is gonna provide us with an update on the open space plan. And then on October 28th, we're also gonna have a discussion on communication policy and stuff like that. We're gonna let Rebecca lead that discussion.
No. So I'm gonna be sending this document around that needs a lot of editing ahead of time, and we can go from there.
Awesome.
So not to be discussed, just to
Just
be
for
aware.
consideration, yeah.
Yes.
Perfect, same thing on that budget process, again, not having any discussions outside the meeting, but something to just think about, so if you have any questions between now and the 14th about how has this worked in the past, or what does it look like, you can send those to myself or Jerry, and we can just answer those simple questions, not opinion-based questions, but if the question is, how many members are on the committee, how many times do you meet, those sorts of things we can answer. Alright, do we have any need for an executive session?
Wait, it says it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
We do need to do an executive session pursuant to 4056A personnel matter. I don't think we will need long though. So do I have a motion to move into executive session?
A motion.
Deb, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Rebecca, all in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none? Okay, cool. Yeah, just we'll shoot you, we'll just maintain the information, let you know.